Now, police arrested 16 people during a second night of disorder in Northern Ireland, sparked by a brutal Belfast stabbing. But there was no new clashes on Thursday evening. Now, on Wednesday, dozens of masked protesters clashed with riot police hours after a Sudanese man appeared in court charged with attempted murder over Monday night's shocking knife attack. For more, we can speak to our international affairs editor, Philip Turle. Hello to you, Philip. A lot of different aspects to this story. Give us some of the political context.
Okay, so we've got these knife attacks which have happened in Northern Ireland. This is just a few days after an earlier report of a knife attack last December in which a young man died in Southampton in the south of England. All of this has been exacerbated by the far right, Nigel Farage on the Reform Party, by Tommy Robinson, a former football hooligan who's been in jail 5 times but is seen as a charismatic leader of the ultra-right in the UK. There have been multiple protests around the country. The government has said we're going to be very firm against all the protesters, but many foreigners, especially in Northern Ireland, are living in fear of their houses being set ablaze. And all of this, if that wasn't enough for Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, to deal with, as the Defence Secretary and the Armed Forces Minister, John Healey, the Defence Secretary, and Al Khan, the Armed Forces Minister, have tendered their resignation to Keir Starmer, saying that the defence budget for the country is not high enough, and that's they feel that because there have been cuts to the military, that Britain is no longer going to be a safe country. They say that they want £18 billion to keep the military buoyant, but the government has not got the necessary funds, 0.08% of GDP up until 2030, to keep that military in a position to defend the country if there's an attack from Russia, for example. So all of this has exacerbated a very difficult situation for Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, who's facing these riots, facing a rise in support for Nigel Farage's Reform Party on the far right, and now face to face with a by-election coming up next week in Makerfield near Birmingham, where it looks like Andy Burnham Manchester rather, which looks like Andy Burnham, the mayor of Manchester, could win that by-election. And if he does, he will launch a leadership challenge against Keir Starmer. So the situation politically in the UK is very unstable, and the situation on the ground in Northern Ireland is stable now, but it could all spiral out of control with just one little attack somewhere.
Yeah, Philip, anything else to note on this story from your perspective?
Well, the big question is, how long can Keir Starmer carry on? How long can the Prime Minister carry on? He says he's going to fight more. I think all depends now on the outcome of this by-election in Makerfield. Labour is looking set to win. If they do, then Andy Burnham is certain to launch a leadership challenge against Keir Starmer. Were these two ministers handing in their resignation because they want to then try and find a deal with Andy Burnham? That we don't know, but there are commentaries going on in the UK that may be part of the reason that they stood down. But certainly Keir Starmer looking incredibly shaky, I think, now in his position as Prime Minister.
All right.